This business is everything to our family. Started in 1975 in Cranbourne, and we've been this year on the 1st of December, it'll be 45 years. We're a 3-generation family business.
Like most of the stores in this shopping centre in Melbourne South, Tony Vandenbroek's jewellery store is empty.
I mean, this is really heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching. You're in limbo and you've got no control of it, and it's a feeling that we've never ever had. I've never had it.
The months leading up to Christmas would usually be the store's busiest.
We've got no rules on what this is going to be, even when we reopen, what the date, times or anything. Our bills are our bills, our debts are our debts, and we need to make sure we don't, end up closing a business down from this hardship.
And as is the case for many small business owners, the closure of Tony's shop isn't just hurting her business's bottom line.
As a business owner, it's been really tough, I'll be honest, and I speak about it because I think it needs to be said that it has caused me anxiety, and I've had to go to a doctor and speak to my doctor and get support.
Tony says the lack of certainty around reopening is paralysing her business.
None of us want to get COVID-19, we don't want to spread it, and we don't want to do that. But I can't understand is why some businesses are allowed to be open and then some aren't. I'm not complaining because I know a lot of hardships on a lot of people, but this is our story, this is what's happening to us.
Yesterday, Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews said the state will ease some restrictions earlier than previously thought, announcing changes to lockdowns, including the lifting of Melbourne's curfew from today. Primary schools will return on October 12th, and hospital visitations will be relaxed. Further easing of restrictions will now be determined by case numbers, not dates. Today, Victoria's former health minister, who resigned just a few days ago, tweeted that the state was on its way to eradication, in contradiction to the stated strategy of suppression.
The Victorian lockdown has been one of the longest in the world. For those of us living here, we all know how challenging it has been. Overall, I think this was necessary. We had a pandemic that was verging on getting completely out of control a few months ago. Stage 4 has resolved that averted catastrophe. I do think, as I've said before, that we're taking a very cautious approach.
Professor James McCall believes that while the lockdown has been effective, Victoria must now take a more targeted, nuanced approach to managing the virus. He questioned the threshold for easing restrictions of an average of 5 cases per day.
What I am concerned about is if in mid-October it looks like we won't achieve the 5 cases per day average, then what do we do? How do we respond? How do we have a slightly more adaptable approach that would allow us to alleviate some of the social, physical, mental health wellbeing issues while not having a step change in the risk of the virus spreading?
In Melbourne's hospitals, case numbers are stabilising, and emergency doctor Rob Mitchell from the Alfred Hospital says they're prepared for the coming weeks. But research he conducted during the first lockdown found almost 40% fewer people presented to emergency departments, and he's worried the same thing's happening this time around.
There has been a fairly substantial reduction in the number of patients presenting to the ED. That's slowly starting to normalise.
And he's seeing another concerning trend emerge.
Whereas in the first period of restrictions, there was a reduction at our facility in mental health presentations, we're observing the opposite now. So at our hospital, for instance, we've seen a more than 10% increase in the number of mental health presentations in recent weeks. And that's, I think, concerning, and it reflects the overall levels of stress and anxiety that exist in the community.
It's usually one of the busiest times of the year for Bruce Keybore's events business.
We'd normally, over the weekend leading up to Grand Final, probably 3,000 to 4,000 people. This weekend, there will be 0.
He was forced to stand down 1,500 staff after the Grand Prix was cancelled in March.
Probably the most emotional bit about it that, was genuinely the toughest was standing down our staff. I feel an absolute moral responsibility for their lives, their mortgages, their kids' school fees, and that is with me every day.
The events industry was one of the first hit by the pandemic and will be one of the last to restart.
The uncertainty of knowing what is going on makes it very difficult for our business to operate. If we were just told that we couldn't operate within the event sector for the next 6 months, it would almost be easier and put many people out of their misery. Lack of clarity is one of the really big things. I mean, the business event sector is about a $30 million impact to the Victorian economy and employs 300,000 people.
Back in Cranbourne in the city's southeast, jewellery shop owner Tony is determined to keep her small business afloat.
We've had tough times and stuff like that, so that actually teaches you resilience in being able to, when the going gets tough, get going. We've got to make sure we actually stay positive. We can do this, we can survive this, we just need support.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.